Before we really get started, I want to talk about something weird. As is so often for my ruminations, I tend to talk about topics that are seemingly unrelated to the game at home, on hand, but it's because I feel it's relevant to that game in question, and it's just something that interests me. It's kind of how the room format always worked, right? For those of you who never actually watched it, uh, the game or the show or the movie would prompt something, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I should talk about that." And then I would talk about it. In this case, I want to talk about stabilization of opinion. So, there's a concept which I don't have a term for other than what I literally just made up right now, where something comes out, doesn't matter what, song, game, movie, book, toy, whatever, and people go through it and they have the opinion of it of A. A is not their real opinion of it. Then, almost usually right afterwards, although the exact duration varies a little bit, either them or other people have essentially the total opposite opinion. We'll call this opinion Z because to demonstrate the point, it's a complete reactionary opinion to opinion A. With me so far? That leaves us with two opinions, neither of which are valid, or I suppose more accurately, neither of them are accurate. So that then leaves you thinking, well, then how do we get an accurate opinion? Well, over time, opinions tend to stabilize. And that stabilization is like what I'm talking about. Over time, people actually go back through it, replay it, think about it, consider it, and tend to come up with and I'm going to call this as bluntly as I can, real opinion about a given work. Now, we can also get into a little bit of philosophy here, because some people think you shouldn't do that you should maintain that original opinion. But I'm not one of those people. I tend to prefer something that is not let's call it what it is, a reaction. Because it's not that opinion A isn't really an opinion, it's a reaction. Now, I could call out a lot of people and a lot of sites on regards to this, review sites and people sites, IGN, but I think I'm going to call out the most important of all opinions here, which is, of course, game reviewers, because their opinions matter the most. So I'm going to call out myself. One of the lines I regret most in my career is, before this even was a career, was I made the offhanded comment in, I believe, my first Mass Effect 3 video that said, Mass Effect 3 was a 10 out of 10 game until the ending. Now, that's a lie, obviously. But it's not, maybe a lie is the wrong word, but it's an untruth regardless. And the funny thing is, that was true even then. Because what was in my mind was Tachanka and Rannoch, and some of the little personal scenes between the characters. And that's what was in my head when I said that 10 out of 10 statement. But as anybody will tell you, even me 10 years ago will tell you, looking back through the game, there's a whole lot of other game there that is most assuredly not 10 out of 10, right? I hate that quote, by the way, by me, because I've had people use that quote as proof that my opinions have gotten worse and that I have gotten to be a worse game reviewer as a consequence, because those people think I should go with reactions instead of opinions. But I'm getting off topic. So, and yeah, exactly, though, Hez. I wasn't thinking about the other things because I wasn't really considering it. That's why I call it a reaction. No, we all do this to some extent or another. We all have reactions. I mean, how many of you remember when episode 1 was beloved? When Phantom Menace came out, it wasn't just a smash hit, it was a creative hit. However, that's opinion A, by the way. Almost immediately after that, like a couple of weeks, at least here in the States, that opinion shifted, and then we almost immediately had everyone having opinion Z or so. Now, how long and how weird this goes depends on where you live and all that fun stuff. But the point is, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Reaction. It took a while for people to have an opinion, an actually considered opinion on the work. And yeah, it was going to be fine. I'm trying to ignore the financials of episode 1 because episode 1 had literally everything going for it financially. It was going to be a smash success, even if it was worse than it already was. That's probably an exception that proves the rule hazardous, because I've had the same response, the same reaction, which I later go back and then confirm. But that's not always true. And that's kind of how it is, right? That's just life. Every now and again you have a reaction to something and then you go back and you re-look through it and it's like, yeah, no, that was just as awesome or just as terrible or just as whatever as I thought it was. That's just reality. That's the statistical outliers that kind of prove the line noise. Anyways, the whole reason I'm going through all of this is because DMC4. Now, when DMC4 came out, there was a really big reaction against it. A lot of people, a lot of reviewers, a lot of fans of the series, all just kind of slammed it. I'm talking like 1 or 2 out of 10 kind of a scores, right? People just thought this game sucked. As you might imagine, this was almost immediately followed by several other people saying that this was better than DMC3 in every way, of course, and was the true first amazing game of super awesome incredibleness. So neither of these are, of course, opinions. Now, part of the reason I was bringing this up is as I was doing my morning exercises, it occurred to me that I've never seen where the standardization has come out. And that's what I mean, when opinions kind of standardize over time and kind of come to something of an actual opinion. I have no idea what people actually think of DMC4 now, essentially. What people who have a codified opinion of it. I can only give you a reaction myself because I only played it the one time. It was a friend's copy. This will be my second and most likely final playthrough of DMC4. It should be interesting. I'm very curious where this is going to go. No, but there tends to be trends, Dakota. Like, if you look at everyone, if I polled 100 or even 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people and said, what is your actual opinion on this, and somehow magically had the power to actually get their actual opinion on it, there are going to be trends. There's going to be a statistical circle here on the chart, and this is going to be the standard right here, is this circle. Sometimes the circle's kind of wide, sometimes the circle's kind of small, but there's always a circle in the middle. So, we'll see, but Valvedrix brings up something. This is an unpolished gem. Yeah, so, let's do a little bit of a behind the scenes here. Just a little, just a brief thing. So this is funny. As I was looking up information on this game, I found more information for Devil May Cry 3. Clearly, when I was researching 3, I should have just looked up 4. Little did I know. And one of the biggest regrets that Itsuna had personally is, this is funny, that the city in 3 felt so empty and devoid of life. He actually wanted there to be like some interactions or NPCs or other stuff that was going to be there to make it feel like a real city. The Lindblom effect I refer to so often. That's amusing to me on basically every level. So, the reason he gave for the fact that they couldn't do it was the hardware couldn't support it. Now, to be 100% honest, I call bull on that because I've played Final Fantasy XII, which is also a PS2 game. Frankly, I've played Final Fantasy X, which is an early PS2 game. So, I don't know what the real or actual problem was. Who knows? But either way, it was an issue that Itsuno had, and therefore deliberately sought out to try and fix when it comes to DMC4. We'll see how well that is successful. But the other thing is, you might be thinking, okay, well, they've got new hardware and a bigger budget, right? No, reminder, DMC3 didn't sell super well. And a very, very common reaction is when something doesn't sell super well, the budget tends to go down, not up. So DMC4 had the same budget that DMC3 did. Now, you might think, okay, but please remember that not only is this a completely different console, but, and this is the best part right here, this was the first console the first game, that anyone at Capcom had developed for the PS3. Now, if you're not understanding that, let me say that very, very clearly. This game was the sacrificial lamb to the PS3 for Capcom. Every major developer out there, and several publishers as well, all had this exact same concept. They would sacrifice a game to the PS3 in order to get used to it. Because whatever the PS3 is from our perspective as players and users, from a developer perspective, the PS3 sucks. It's one of the worst infrastructures and code, just architecture that exists. It's one of the worst consoles to design for. The only one I've ever heard anything be said worse about is the freaking Saturn. So, yeah. And yeah, there's a reason why PS3 emulation is wonky to this very day. We have better PS4 emulation than we have PS3 emulation. So this was the Sacrificial Lamb. So this is the first time anybody has actually been developing for the PS3, so that's a huge mark against them. Their budget is limited, so that's a mark against them. Hang on, here's another fun one on top of this. The developers didn't want to make this game. This is funny to me, because they all said, yeah, no, we made Devil May Cry 3. That was the Devil May Cry we wanted to make with 2. We're done. And they wanted to go ahead and move on with it. And the executives told them, no, you have to make Devil May Cry 4. And they're like, but we don't. Okay. So they didn't have the same passion walking into it as they did with 3. This was now just another job. Now, whether that's going to affect results, who knows? But either way, it's definitely going to be changing their mentality when making the game, which, of course, brings me to Nero. The idea was they thought that they had already peaked with Dante, that they couldn't do anything else with Dante. Devil May Cry 5 says hello. And so since they can't do anything more with Dante, they decided the only way to develop, the only way to expand upon DMC3 was to add a brand new character to play as. Now, having said all of that, I actually kind of agree with them. Not fully, obviously, because you could still develop Dante, as I just joked about. But the idea of adding a new playable character who plays substantially differently, yeah, I'm kind of with that. It's the kind of thing I would probably have done in the same boat. It's like, well, okay, I want to do something creative with this. Why not make someone new? And thus we have Nero. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so what's with the Nero and Kyrie thing? So they brought in a brand new writer who had never written for the series before. Now, I think this is both good and bad, because on the good side, you'll notice we get... we'll show this as we go through, but there's more world building, and there's more fleshing out of the setting. It feels a little bit more like an actual place, rather than just a video game, a distinction I made back during Spyro 3, I think it was. So that's cool. I actually like the fact that they have fleshed out the setting more, to the point where it feels like an actual place. But the plot is literally go rescue the damsel in distress. Now, what's funny about this is that was not only done on purpose, but they were specifically citing Mario as an inspiration for making the plot. Anyways, yeah, there's a very... If you think about DMC4, the Mario inspiration is going to make a lot more sense. So this game had a lot going against it from the development side of things. The Sacrificial Lamb, the PS3 in general, the budget limitation, the restrictions of the people, and some new staff involved and not really being wanted involved. But it is still DMC4, but I just wanted to mention all of that because when we start doing backtracking, and then we start doing the backtracking of the backtracking, yes, that's a real thing, you'll know why. This is probably going to be a game like DMC3, which would be a lot better if it was about 2 hours shorter. Okay. So let's actually send out the announcements. Go ahead and get ready for the game. Oh, and I actually plan to have a Kyrie counter. In fact, it's right here. I'm curious how bad it actually is. You know me. Vague impressions, reactions, versus opinions. Meanwhile, the Sparta counter's up to 46. I've been keeping track the whole series. Alright. Hang on. This is in the wrong place, but that's okay. We can fix that. Oh, also, I'm probably the least familiar with this of the 5 games. That's a little loud. No, Sabacom. Can I turn down the audio? No, I cannot. Okay. I turn down the... Hey, audio! Yeah, this game gets a little loud. On, vibration off. I do want the mini-map. There's actually a mini-map. Turbo! No. Okay. Sure.
Devil may cry.
What's going on? Well, you get to live without that for a moment while we fix this. You're just missing singing. If it makes you feel any better. That's a lot of demons. Why are there so many demons here? Come on. There you go. Nope. Oh, wow. That's bad. That's awful. Hope the game's not like that. It's only when I'm tabbed into the game, not when I'm tabbed out of the game. That is, that's hysterical is what that is. Okay. Oh, thank you for making me stay hydrated, Retro Justice. You know, if not for the fact that it mutes you when Alt-Tab, I can just stay Alt-Tab. Yeah, welcome to the PS3. Whatever, enjoy the chop! What's funny is this is butter smooth on my end. Okay, hold on. I have a question here. Nope, not there. Not here. Yeah, game's fine. It's not OBS, it's the game. Yeah, let's turn off variable frame rate because that appears to be the only thing. So let's cap it at 60. See if that helps. That's actually the option I was looking for. Alright, so let's try this again. Still really choppy. I mean, that helped? No, it didn't. That didn't help at all. Hang on. I need to see something. Yeah, that's nice. Game's fine, just cutscenes are bad. That's not great because we want to show off cutscenes. Oh, wow. Okay. Hang on. Yeah, we do still need to show off cutscenes. That's sort of a thing. So let's do this. Hang on, let's do a couple things. Here, enjoy the Devil May Cry 4 theme. Just reset the sound settings there. In fact, reset all my settings. Okay, reset most of my settings.
Devil May Cry.
Welcome to Tech Issues, the game through Freeman. I am, as ever, your host, the Tech Issues Runner. Adjust this so I can actually see what you guys are saying. Nope, that didn't fix anything at all. I mean, it's a little better. And now it's worse. Why did I say that? You get to live with this. I give up. Five, Zach Taft. I'll try it. 0. Of course, if I do that, I can't see if it breaks or not. I also don't know how to do that. Where is that option there? Because I don't do that usually. There. Let me know if it's still bad. Still bad, okay. Honestly, that's to be expected. Alright. How about this scene? We didn't even try this scene, because it's rendered differently.
The Dark Knight, Sparta, turned against his demon brethren and took up his sword for the sake of mankind. Though, despite his brave efforts in our names, I fear some have forgotten the truth of that great sacrifice. If the events of that terrible time were to reoccur, the fusing of both the demonic and human realms, we, weak humans, would have no means by which to oppose our submission. And so I ask you to unite and pray that even if such a dark time of chaos were to revisit us, our gracious Savior would shelter us from the storm. Let us pray.
So we were talking about demon cults. Sorry, specifically Sparta cults. This is a Sparta cult. Actually, it's the second one we've encountered, technically.
Nero, what's wrong?
I'm out of here.
But it's not over yet.
All this preaching's putting me to sleep. Huh?
Get out of here!
I will return with help! You stall him until then!
Yeah, sure thing, Credo.
I won't hold my breath. Jacked up notion of fair play, pal. And it's beginning to piss me off.
Okay, now that I finally let you watch a stuttery version of that, now it's time to AFK some more. I'm curious of something. I had a thought in the middle of that. Interesting. Who's up for spending an extra $25 right now? So, while that goes, so the intro does have one big flaw with it, that I actually heard a lot of reviewers bash it for when this game came out. And that was the fact that the game, the cutscenes like to be very, very cool in ways you cannot emulate. There's a lot of intention. They try to push the choreography up another notch. But as a result, a lot of that is like, well, that'd be cool if I was doing that. Now, whether that's good, better, in between is up to you. It's just a little bit of a disappointment after the approach that 3 tried to make. Having said all that, it's still, cool, regardless of the other variables involved, so shrug. I do like the choreography. It is still excellent. And I do like how they show off. It's not just cool for cool's sake, but if you're paying attention, actual effort is put into making the two of them appear completely differently to each other. Nero is a punk, pretty much in the exact same way that DMC3's Dante was, and Dante is not a punk. He's very calm and collected the entire time. In fact, you saw how many lines of dialogue he had. One of the concerns several people had is, oh god, it's DMC2 Dante again. It's okay, he's not. He's not. It's just, you can see the immediate contrast there. Probably my favorite example of that is when Nero, who is struggling and panting and out of breath, desperately tries to shove the sword of Sparta, the Sparta statue rather, over to the side to get him off of it. And Dante's just sitting there on the sword, like, okay, just adjusting his angle as it slowly falls over, not even really reacting to it. And yeah, he is a bit more Virgil-like here. For the record, I actually like that. I like the fact that Dante is being designed or showcased as this more veteran Dante. Don't worry, he's still a goofball. It also, so the intro also establishes several other things. Sorry about that. So, as I already mentioned, Sparta cult. Again, technically this is our second Sparta cult that we've seen so far, but it's a much more well-realized Sparta cult than the Guardians, I think is what they were called, back in DMC2. And it's also way more of a cult. They've actually got a church and organs and dumb, slow, boring, terrible prayers. So, yeah, no, all of that tracks completely. Thank you, Trihexia. I will put that down for the Winx Club. So we've got some world building immediately. We've got the fact that the opening shows Nero fighting demons without much issue, so we know that he is some kind of demon hunter. We've got the fact that he obviously cares about Kyrie, but the thing I like about that is, well, he's obviously into Kyrie. They do a good job with it in both directions. Check this out. How many of you noticed this? While she's singing, occasionally her eyes would just go over to the spot where he should be sitting. And at the end of the song, he was finally sitting there panting because he'd been fighting demons on his way in. But there was just this relief on her face at, oh, okay, he's finally there. Touch number 1. Touch number 2, and this is my personal favorite. I don't have something to really emulate this with, but as, he's sitting there and she goes to sit next to him, the gift is there. And rather than saying, hey, it's for you, or anything else he could have, he was a punk teenager and immediately put up his headphone to be like, yep, no. Because and that's so perfect, right? That is absolutely what a teenager who is trying to give a gift to his sweetie would do, right? Like, just, yep. Yeah, that's a thing there that you may or may not have noticed. And he kept, getting furtive glances, to see if she was actually, if she could open the thing or not. And then, of course, one final bit of characterization. Not just the fact that he's a punk in how he operates and how he fights Dante, but the fact that when the sermon actually started, his response was to get up and want to walk out of the room. Now, that's actually really critical for a lot of reasons we'll get into later. But right at the beginning, immediately, we know Nero is not a believer. He is not a follower of the cult of Sparta. Very important. Now, let's see if this helps anything, shall we? So I'm going to have to readjust some things because... What? What? One moment, please. Yeah, there's also stuff like the fact that Dante just kind of effortlessly stomps everyone until Nero shows up, who's able to hang. You've got to be kidding me. Yes, I did, for the WinX Club, or Winx Club, or however the hell it's pronounced. Okay, so, this is interesting. Oh yeah, Credo is also established early. It does a lot. The intro is getting a positive, is what I'm trying to say. Probably 2, actually. It does a lot to establish a lot fairly impressively quickly. So good to have some story focus. Quickly and efficiently. Yeah, also, did you notice that Dante didn't immediately come out in kill mode on Nero? He had no problem stabbing the cultists immediately, but when he saw Nero, he just sort of reacted to him at first. In fact, he primarily dodged him initially, as he's just kind of gaining a measure of him. Okay, hang on. Actually, I did Blade Tripal. Thank you very much for the sub. I have also put that on the Stranger of Paradise. I will bow again. Thank you. Okay. Wow, this is interesting. All right. Do I have... No, why would Dante go after Kitty? He had no reason to. I think I need to grab a fresh hex editor. Because this is my life now. Because I don't think I have HXD installed. For some reason. No, Nero arguably made the right call pretty much across the board. Which is, I suppose, the amusement. Also shows a bit of how much of a vet Nero is. Ignoring the fact that he was just wiping the streets earlier, quite literally. The fact that he has what I can only refer to as protector instincts like that also showcases where he's at in his career. See if this worked. Wow, that actually fixed it. Had to hex edit the EXE. Jesus Christ, Capcom. Alright, hold on. A lot of things are wrong here. Give me a second. Everyone on chat, it's not invisible. Yeah, I know. God damn it. I think we've also got a nice big chat delay now, too. So that's fun. No, 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 no. The wrong button. I might actually restart the stream just to fix that, because a minute delay is what I consider to be unacceptable. But before we even do that, let's see if that worked. You remember how I've talked periodically about how, you know, it'd be nice if we had companies that were dedicated towards doing PC ports, or just ports in general. Well, the thing is, part of the inherent statement built into that is, I want those to be good ports. I know it's strange. It's just an unusual comment, but there it is. She plays the legendary Dark Knight. Default. So what you're saying is I need to take over the world and force the matter. Crazy horse. Got it. Moment of truth.
Devil may cry.
We'll know when he starts running. I'm gonna go ahead and let it play, since he didn't really get to see it. No, I won't. I've decided not to. Screw you. You don't get to see this cutscene. Sucks to be you. What I'm actually gonna do is restart the stream. Now, you know what's really funny? For those of you currently listening to this, I'm not going to stop the recording because I have no reason to stop the recording. So locally, we're just kind of here. Kind of hanging out. And now I could give the super secret, behind-the-scenes information about this terrible, terrible game. This is the worst game ever. Negative 50 out of everything. I can't think of anything funny. I suppose I should type up this intro thing while I wait. Stream is still having issues. This is great. Come on, there it goes. It just finished discontinuing. You can still see chat over there because we're still actually polling chat. It's funny. You know what? I'm going to give 3 positives to the intro. There you go. There's your big bonus behind the scene thing. There's just, it does so much, right? It does so much so quickly. All right. Let's pull the stream up. That should be enough time. And now we're going to start a timer. And I want you to type out the number you hear me say as I say it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay. That was pretty quick. Good, good. Okay. So let's try that again. This time with actual visibility. Some people wondering what I did. Johnny Young Bosch, doesn't he voice Nero? I swore he voiced Nero. Yeah, we'll talk about it as we go. I can actually show you it this time. But hold up. You're wondering what I did. So the exe file, if you fire it up, okay, let's talk about this. So I switched versions. We are now playing the special edition, which I just bought about 3 minutes ago, or however long it's been, as opposed to the original edition, which is what I owned and have owned for quite some time, on the assumption that the special edition would actually help with a few things. No problem, right? So I go to launch the special edition, and it immediately crashes on launch. And I'm like, what? So I go digging. And apparently that crash on launch is so common that it affects virtually every version of the game ever. Now, it's okay, because what happens is there is a flaw in the offset of the EXE. There's a specific hex code, which is, and I've actually got the numbers right here because people have already done the hard work for me. It is 80020000, and what it actually should be is 00050000. That tiny change constantly returns a exception offset error, which immediately crashes the game. So, ironically, now that the game runs smoother and we are now reviewing the special edition, immediate negative to gameplay for the fact that I had to hex edit the exe file to get it playable. What the crap? You know, honestly, I actually agree. We're going to give 2 to that. You know why? Because there's some bugs which are bad, and there's game-breaking bugs which are awful. But how many people know how to hex edit? How many normal people, I don't mean that as an insult, just someone who just wants to sit down and play DMC4, can do that? Even if you know the values you're looking for, which I did. So, the fact that they could so effortlessly patch that, it's such a tiny change. One thing to get you, I could upload my version of the exe file and replace the one that they have on the dump pull for Steam, and the issue would be fixed just like that. That is such a monumentally easy fix that could be patched in seconds. That is what the hell territory. So, negative. Moving on. So, as I was saying, let's go ahead and go back through this. Or, no, I wanted to do this. So, naturally, scroll it down so I can talk through this. Hopefully the volume's okay. Yeah, this is, we've got kind of a Mediterranean look to things immediately. Up to and including the fact that we're starting off with a frickin' opera performance. Total contrast between the two immediately, by the way. She has a freaking tiara on. She has a tiara, a dress. She's performing before an auditorium of a bunch of similarly robed people. She's got the shawl. She's got the poofy things and the inlay. He dresses like that. So, immediate contrast between the two characters. Then, on the way to her performance in a auditorium like this, he runs into random demons in the street. Now, we've actually talked about this before. This is not normal. The number of devil and demon influences into the world are relatively small because most of the major incursions are dealt with before anything really bad happens. So this kind of thing should be uncommon. Ergo, the mere fact that there's this sermon going on in walking distance of a demon incursion is already supposed to raise a flag in the background of your mind. So now we see that Nero is competent. We don't even have his name yet. You'll notice he's doing all this one-handed because of his the cast he has on. Now, we don't actually know this yet, but that's actually significant too, because he wants so badly to retain that cast because he wants to come to this performance, so he forces himself to fight one-handed. Oh yeah, there's her looking at the spot. I mentioned that earlier. And yeah, thank you to Koda for pointing that out. I should mention that these are mannequins. Now, if you don't know what a mannequin is, because we've talked about this in DMC 1 and 3, mannequins are golems that have been inhabited by a demonic spirit, which means someone had to build these things, and then a demon had to inhabit it. Now, that made sense on the island of demon worshippers back in DMC 1, and oh, right. So you already see where this is going. Meanwhile, big, expansive panning shots of how fancy and expensive and beatific, I should say. I don't know, I have a better word for it. This big marble place is. He is now, at this point, pulled out one of the enemy's weapons and is now using it against them. Because, you know, why not? It's actually nice. I actually like discussing this as we show it. Okay, they're all dead. Gotta get to the performance. Gotta get to the performance. No applause, because... Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, these are all staunchy idiots, but no. Hey! And notice the relief, immediate. And he is, of course, still gasping for breath, but he's trying to play it off, you know. Again, I love the showing, not telling here. So I said this in the off-camera thing. We're going ahead and boosting this to 3 positives. This is actually a really good intro. We're not done yet. And yes, very obvious relevance to Mundus there with the statue of Sparta. Also remember that for later. And yes, Sparta. So yeah, now that we've got most of that visual storytelling out, we get a little bit of dry exposition. Now, there's a lot of ways to try and shove dry exposition down the throat of your players. You'll notice that the initial bit of him talking here is almost universally just the same speech every DMC game has given about the Legend of Sparta. However, this time they bothered to do something with it. They did it in 3, too, in the interest of fairness. So first of all, they show Nero being fidgety, and you can tell, you can't hear it under my voice, but you can tell he's got music going on in his headphones. Meanwhile, Credo, who obviously has a lot more, shall we say, doctrine approaching, is the guy over there who's looking over in disapproval, and Nero's just kind of whatever. There's the wonderful scene I mentioned about him, just like, no, it's trying to play it off and be cool. She's very happy, of course, that he got her something. He's trying to pretend that he doesn't care the fact that she's happy. This is wonderful. I love this scene. It's so cute. Meanwhile, more dry exposition, and if you were paying attention, a little bit of foreshadowing, because he specifically mentioned, if the demons ever came back, may the Savior save us from that incursion. Remember that. It's going to come up later. So everyone goes to pray to Sparta, someone who, I remind you, is dead. Nero is just sick to death of all of this.
What's wrong?
I'm out of here.
But it's not over yet.
All this preaching's putting me to sleep.
We also notice that she is more doctrine-y than he is. Still not what you'd call completely programmed. The fact that she has no hood is a sign of that, but that's more the fact that she's a player character. Or an important NPC, rather, just like Credo. So then Dante shows up. Now, if you don't know who Dante is, this is just some dude. But if you know who Dante is, well, that's interesting. Especially since Dante doesn't talk here. Anyway, so the Pope's dead. By the way, fun fact, originally they were going to name the Pope I forget the name. And then as they were developing the game, the real-life Pope took on the name of the name they were going to use. So they changed the name. I'm not making that up. You can look it up. So, we see that some of the Assassin's Creed members here are actually armed, but not all of them. Most of these people, I think it was Benedict, yeah. Most of these people are just civilians, so they're just running for the thing. Only the actual guards swoosh up with their swords. Dante immediately and effortlessly crushes them, and notice that, well, he's not exactly being very Virgil here. He is still not using a lot of effort or energy, because there's no reason for him to. This is so low tier for him, he is not trying. Shot at the gift. Nero cares more about her than his gift. Actually showing some caring. Credo is freaking out at the death of the Pope. Dante picks up someone with the sword and just it does that. I don't know what else to say about that. That's awesome. Did you notice the last guy actually hesitated and freaking out, like, what can I possibly do against this guy? And then dies. So then...
Kyrie!
yeah, there's our... So we're not repeating these, but there's our first Kyrie. Now, this is an interesting scene, because this is the most... trying to fool the player that we get right here is Dante standing over Kyrie looking ominous. But he wasn't going to hurt her. He had no reason to. Instead, what we have is an establishment of Nero, his double revolver, and this. Notice Dante doesn't actually attack on sight here, even though he absolutely could.
Get out of here!
I will return with help. You stall him until then.
Instead, he's just paying attention. Looks down at Credo, or Credo, whatever stupid it is. Looks up at Nero.
I won't hold my breath.
And Nero shoots first, if you were paying attention there. So Dante's like, alright, let's see what you can do. And you notice he is very clearly, I don't want to say playing with him, but this is obviously him testing him. Who are you? What can you do? Why can you do it that way? Nero is barely keeping up, but he is keeping up. He's struggling, he's panting, he's gasping. Dante, and I already pointed this out earlier, is just completely on top of things. Barely even trying. Mostly dodging. Barely counterattacking at all. It's kind of like...
And it's beginning to piss me off.
And then we get to the actual game, finally. So... Now, the decision to include a no really holding your hands tutorial was an interesting one. It makes a bit of sense, given the fact that A, they've never done this before properly, and B, it's completely optional. You can actually disable it if you're paying attention earlier. Now, I mentioned this because if you remember, DMC1 had no tutorialization other than in level design. 2 and 3 had the, approach tutorialization. Here, it's actually a pause, shows you a little video clip, which I actually like, and says, here's exactly how you can move, blah, blah, blah. So, here's our attacks. We got the side roll. This is something I will probably suck at the most because it's a complete controller change of the previous 3 games I've been playing for the last several days. So, you know, whatever. as I just demonstrated. There we go. Yeah, you notice there's no health bar, there's no timer, there's no nothing. This is no really style tutorial land. Also notice he has to worry about ammo.
I guess this doesn't quite cut it.
He's got a motorcycle rev.
Sword like that if you aren't even gonna use it.
So, the Red Queen. I notice Dante is at this point getting a little more of Dante shine through in his animations there. Catch that. Yeah. Enough said, really. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Hazardous. Yeah, I've seen better tutorialization than this, but this is not bad tutorialization, really. So, big reveal moment.
You got a trick up your sleeve. I thought the cat had your tongue. But if it's a trick you're looking for. Looks like you too are. You did right. I want to wrap this show up before the cavalry arrives.
That's the thing he was hiding that I mentioned earlier. That's his style button, put simply. Yeah, the main reason I left on tutorials is so you could see this whole thing. I mean, look at Dante. He's still obviously just whatevering.
Alright, I guess I got some time to kill. Tough guy, huh? Well... I think I'll have to take you down a couple notches. Whatever you say, kid.
So, final tutorial. God, hang on. This is gonna take some getting used to. Notice Dante is almost entirely countering rather than attacking, too. Still not really trying, in short. Which makes sense because this is a tutorial, and also because he has no desire to kill Nero. To be continued, Roman Cure. So I'm pretty sure subtitles are on.
Getting better.
See? Subtitles are there.
I would even go as far as to say that I underestimated your abilities. You aren't human, are you? We're the same. You and them.
Da-na-na-na.
Though I suspect you carry something different from the others. What are you talking about? You will come to learn the meaning soon enough. But business beckons. Hey! Adios, kid.
Immediately hides his arm. What do you think he gets all that debt from, Zero? I didn't even see it, Zactaft. I'm sorry. Hang on, let me pause the game. Let's see this question from Zactaft. Let's see here. Do I think Dante and Stark would get along well? No, they'd bounce off each other constantly. Oh, and the reason I mentioned 5 earlier, Zactaft, is because I never played it. I have no interest in 8, really, but 5 at least looks like it might be some silly fun. You can, Asperos, but I don't promise to answer. Dante versus Thanos. See, that's funny, because Thanos is definitely someone who takes himself way too seriously. Just like me. And so would be the kind of person who Dante would bounce off of perfectly. I think I will give 1 positive for tutorialization. They're certainly better, but I still think this is good. Pauses the game, gives you a literal text descriptor, and on the off chance you can't read the text or don't feel like reading it or whatever, there's a little video playing saying, this is how you do it. Then you actually do it. You do it X amount of times, and then you progress. It's very hand-holdy, but in a way that's actually well designed. How did I react when I found out about the Red Year? I thought it was stupid, dumb, and pretty terrible. In fact, I still do. I think it's one of the dumber, not retcons, but developments of the story henceforth. I mean, you could be right, Zactaft. Or I could be right. I have no idea. I suppose it would depend on the writer, ironically. Let's see. The red year is when the Great Red Mountain exploded, destroying Vardenfell, because screw you and screw liking Morrowind, I believe is the exact wording that was used by the developers at the time. Thank you, Nitro. Nitro? Wow, I'm stupid. Nitro Neek. Nitro Nick? Nitro Nick sounds like it would be correct, but I'm terrible at pronunciation. So thank you, regardless of my terribleness. I will put that towards Dragon Age, and I do hope you have success with your own game design. Who knows, someday I might actually be able to make some frickin' games. I've got like 50 bouncing around in my head at this point. And by that I mean I've been writing down notes for years about games I want to make, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, so now we can actually start the game about an hour and a half late because of tech issues. Let's see here. So we got a Proud Soul. This is a system. So in DMC4, there's red orbs, and then there's souls, which are different currencies for progression in this one, as opposed to making everything red orbs. Now, this is whatever. We'll talk more about the specifics of this and how well balanced this is as we go. But there is something about this I really don't like, which we'll talk about later. Hi, Credo. I like how the statue's marred there. Why is she...
You brought this here for me?
Credo requested. She yearns for your touch.
That's not how humans talk.
This blade's the best battle companion a swordsman could wish for.
Notice the difference in strength immediately. Minor, but it's showing the difference between a human and a part demon. So here was the gift he got her.
Fortuna Castle, huh?
That's what the witnesses said.
Guy just came from hell. He's gotta hit up a couple tourist sites.
Just so lightly in a time of crisis? You must capture him.
Trust me, I'll get it done.
Please be careful. You still haven't recovered.
There's no time, and duty calls.
Notice he's pleased she's wearing the necklace. Notice she's pleased he's pleased that she's wearing the necklace.
Can't pass on an emergency.
I must return to headquarters and report.
So, funny thing, they haven't actually established the connection between Credo and Kyrie yet. But you notice that they have established there's a connection there. In fact, they've done that twice so far.
Someone help me!
Oh my god! It's people! Look! Look! There's people! There's people! And apparently they already mentioned that he was... I honestly didn't even notice. You know, Imperial Star Destroyer is trying desperately to save these poor, poor people. But he will fail! They will all die. I mean, in all joking aside... And I mean this with total sincerity, seeing these scenes was such a relief to me. I'm not joking. I really dislike the emptiness of the previous 3 games. There's a reason I gave it a freaking negative in 3 and 2. So this helps to establish the kind of person Kyrie is. Not much of a thinker, but she can't just let anything happen to the kid.
Go! Get out of here!
Which is why it should have been her instead of Nico in 5. Anyways.
Not so fast.
No, I know, Takota. It's just, I'm not joking when I say it was just such a relief for me to actually see something. By the way, this is one of my favorite songs in the entire franchise. Also my favorite song in this game. There's something we can at least do in combat.
This baby sure can pack a punch.
Interesting Imperial Star Destroyer. That doesn't surprise me. So yeah, we've showcased the new sword. We've seen some cool stuff. We can rev on enemies. Apparently we can't slide on enemies. That's strange, considering you could in the previous game, but whatever. Listen, turbo gaming games is super hard, okay? Now I gotta pause for several long minutes. I have to spend 10 minutes explaining in an Alcor voice. You say no need... Gosh darn it. I believe you, Games and Goals. Alright, fine. We will not bow, but I will say thank you very, very much, Imperial Star Destroyer. I will put that towards the things you request, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 things. But also say thank you because I already know where that money has already been spent. It went to cover some bills for my family just a few days ago. So that's Mega Man Legends 2, The Misadventures of Tron Bone, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Terrible Show of Terrible. I mean Avatar. Thank you, Imperial Star Destroyer. Let's test something. That's what I thought. There's also a story theater now, and a total ranking, and of course we got Legendary Dark Knight, which we'll talk about that later. We've also got a bestiary. Now, none of the bestiaries have been good so far. So let's see what we got here. Nothing, right, because we don't have anything yet. Okay, we'll come back to the bestiary. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. I didn't mean to hit that button. But that's okay, because we can just jump right back into it. Mission select, as usual, will be multiple positive territory. In fact, I'm just going to jot that down right now, because there's nothing else that needs to be said about it. Plus, plus. Auto skill. That's interesting. Notice the prices are a little bit different. And of course it shows us what these abilities we can buy are, which is always nice. Yeah, by the way, Blue Rose and Red Queen. Raise eyebrow. Let's go and grab Streak. But, you watch the prices? Did you notice that? That's the thing I don't like about the pricing system in this game. The moment you buy something, the price of everything goes up. We'll see how bad that actually is in action as we go. But I remember being rather unfond of that. The red orb prices are about the usual. If you check the list, you'll notice all 3 games are listed there, Zero. Although, I have no real interest in 3, not for the reason you're thinking. And frankly, 1 kind of sucks. But anyways, so we have, for the first time in the game, a mini-map. An honest-to-God mini-map. I'm not even sure what to make of that. We have successfully reached the heights of the early PS2. Yeah, we're at goop instead of sand. Which makes sense, we're not in the desert anymore, we're out in the Mediterranean. We all know the Mediterranean is filled with goop. This is why I got that ability first, by the way. I like having a closer. What can I say? Yeah, Venice is just filled with goop. Literally. Depends on the rest of the game. Because Devil May Cry 1 and 2 both got a negative for map. So the fact that a map exists is not necessarily a good or a bad thing, it's simply a thing. And yeah, note it shows where we are, where we're facing, where we came from. Not exactly shabby, to be honest. The style indicator is back from 3. That's a plus. And we're probably going to give a plus for the map. To my knowledge, that's it, Hasmus. Let's actually check them. So on the map, it'll actually show things like doors and whatnot. Does not look like it shows where you haven't been, which is funny because 3 showed where you haven't been. But it does allow you to see what the names of certain areas are, so that's something. No, I'm wrong. Looks like it actually shows doors in the minimap, too. Sorry. Even looking at the game, I was looking at the minimap. Sealed doors. We know what those are. This is a beat-em-up game. Moving on. Well, as we've already pointed out, as I have already pointed out today even, the mannequins are artificially prepared bodies, which then demons can inhabit. So we just saw that in action there. Also, tiny little bit of characterization for Nero. If you ever pay attention to the lyrics of the song that was just playing, that is supposed to be said from Nero's perspective. It's just another touch, but he's a punk. For good and for bad. Yep, nope, that looks like Venice. I don't know who would ever have done that, Roman Cure. It is a true mystery. Also, maybe this is just a little bit of the fact that, you know, we're in the PS3 now, but A little bit better visuals. A little bit better lighting usage. Little stuff like that.
What the hell?
Well, I mentioned that, Valvedrix, because we were playing the special edition of 1, 2, and 3 as well. It's one of the reasons why the textures didn't look like ass. So, new mechanic. Hook shot. Very limited hook shot, but still, it's a hook shot. Oh, you're not going to see me use the revolver much, by the way. I'm just going to give that away right now. It's a revolver. Got a good sound to it, though. I do like the bassiness of it. Oh, I know, Omega Legion. It's a weirdness. Oh, it won't let me wall jump off of that. That's strange. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Kay. If I could type on a typewriter that sounded like this, I might actually enjoy writing a bit more. Alright, time to write the Diablo rewrite script. Except that's way slower than I type, but whatever. Yeah, I can't go faster. No. Eh. Suspicion is the precipice of enlightenment. Annihilation secret mission. No. See, what you do is you get a mod. You get a program that plays a sound every time you type something on your keyboard. And you just set up the sound file for that. And then you set the sound effect from the sniper rifle from Halo 4. Also, I don't remember how to rev, so I don't know how to test that. It hasn't tutorialized it for me yet. You die, please. Nope. Missed something somewhere. Oh, whatever. Trigger. Sure. That is a mechanic I will never use again. Alright, let's go. It's on L2. And pumping L2 does not feel great. Still getting used to the timing. Hey, look! This is how you rev! Oh my god, there was blood in the oranges and in the watermelons! It's really messed up when you think about it. No, no, not that. You know what, just for you, Roman Cure, I'm gonna stop doing that. Oops, wrong button. Is there an upgrade for the range on that? That's what I'm here for, Roman Cure. Being terrible. So I'm already feeling some brickwork and doodad positives, at least for the city. Still can't decide what I think of the playstyle here. But don't worry, if you really want to see me suck at these games, wait until I play as Dante in 5. Also, it's nice to play in something other than Ruins for once. Enjoy this while it lasts, because it's going to go away again in 5. I love their Ruins in this franchise. I mean, Dante is great in 5, but that doesn't mean I'm great at Dante in 5. Hello, Dr. Winter. Nice legs. There are 7 ranks from D to SSS. And it affects your score. And that is to say your resources. Your level. Let's just call it what it is. Well, I did too, Hazardous. I liked it in 3 as well, so in both games, positive. I mean, he's a total teenager, and it works for him. In response to Zero Hunter.
Damn it!
Yep. Progressive maintenance. Pretty sure that's how that works. The most common comment I hear about DMC is that the gameplay is good. And considering Itsuno literally actually was involved as a consultant for that, that makes sense. But I've never played it, and never will, so I can't comment on that personally. Damn it, Valvotrix. I mean, that would probably get me some clickbait clicks on some news site or another. Streamer encourages viewers to shoot their computers. I have memories of this exact spot. You're probably thinking, what would you have memories of this spot of, Lore? This is where I just sat and tried to get to Triple S with a friend of mine, because we were both sitting there at the same time. And I'd hand over the controller to him, and he'd try, and then he'd hand it back to me, and I'd try. We only got up to A. So then I hand it over. No, he doesn't, Roman Crew. I've tried to use it several times now, just out of muscle memory, and it obviously doesn't work, because, DMC is the 5th game in the franchise, as opposed to Devil May Cry 5, which is the 5th Devil May Cry game. We'll talk more about DMC when it comes to 5, because that's where it's relevant. There is actually quite a story behind that one. Trying to figure out where the bridge was. That's a sewer level. Yeah, all you really need to know about DMC is it was an attempt at a reboot of the franchise for many reasons, all of which were wrong. Whether the game's good or bad, the reasons going into that were not good reasons. Yeah, I've seen some of the interviews behind the developers of DMC. They're, interesting. Yeah, that's what I want right there. 150.
Let me guess. More demons.
I'm gonna give this away now. That's a Hellgate. But it's a minor Hellgate. Yep. Unlike the tower in 3, and some other things, that's a built Hellgate. I love how he just completely ignores Nero there.
Fire's bad for the complexion. I burn easily. Never tan.
When I came to this world 2,000 years ago, there was no such human as the likes of you.
Want to make it another 2,000?
Futile first, you will suffer the wrath of burial. I, the conqueror of the fire,
Hell!
Yeah, they knew who Nero was and where he came from before they even made him. For some reason, it was never mentioned in the game, but it was mentioned in several, shall we say, less than canonical sources. It was not actually 100% confirmed, no, really, until 5. And as a result of some of the things in some of those sources being decanonized, we actually still don't know who Nero's mother is. I researched that in prep work for 4. But yeah, they were pretty obvious about where Nero was coming from. Although one of the biggest fan theory discussions going around was the exact connection between the two characters. Kind of right up there with the fact that we actually don't know what happened to Sparta still, despite, you know, being 5 games in at this point. Sparta's probably dead, unless they change their mind on the matter. If they do, it'll be a total retcon. Because Sparta's super dead. Probably. I mean, if they pull a thing where Sparta's actually been sealed away this whole time or whatever, I'm not even going to be surprised by that. Really. It's some reach. I mean, he played an aristocrat for a few centuries, Case. That wouldn't surprise me.
Don't ask. Damn thing drives me crazy, though.
You are just like he was.
And he would be?
I must restore my power.
We'll see him again later. In the same area with the exact same fight. The repetition in this game is probably going to be one of its bigger negative points. I'm just going to be real about that. I do want those upgrades. What I want even more is the ability to shoot, to attack downwards. Yeah, we'll get the grab. Yeah, no, that's definitively the end of the intro right there. It's better than 3's. Make of that what you will. Although 3's intro was one of the worst parts of the game. I think I'm gonna go for that next. Yeah. I mean, I forget who said it, but the idea that Beowulf should have actually been the first boss of DMC3 makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, you don't even get the weapon from defeating Beowulf, so that's not really a concern. Why not, Savika? Oh, delicious! Okay, game. Okay, fine. We'll kill Girendel. Then we'll kill Beowulf. Then... I don't know the next. Look, we just gotta kill everybody, okay? I think that was technically our tutorialization on the platforming in this game. I was commenting to a friend of mine how every single DMC game, there's one point at which I'm like, so, I like platforming, right? They really like to just do platforming in these series. It's a thing. Alright, so, as usually happens when you get about 10 minutes outside of Venice, we're now in the middle of a snowy blizzard. And of course, 10 minutes outside of Venice, there's a giant Gothic architecture castle, which looks straight out of Dark Souls 1. I don't even remember which one it is, Valdrix. Well, okay. I mean, doesn't it? Twilight Prawn? I wonder what these things are. Oh well. I mean, we're even killing wolves in Dark Souls 1. What more do you want from me? I mean, in Devil May Cry 4. That's what I meant. Yep. Yep. Right next door to a big Mediterranean fishing village. We're actually out on an island. It's just the team literally did go to several Mediterranean cities to set up and style the whole place. Hi, Gloria. So this is who Savacon plays in this game. This is sufficiently over the top that it doesn't bother me that much. Let's be clear. This is over the top. Kamiya has gone on record saying he was inspired by this game in general, and Gloria in particular. So, possible.
I owe you thanks.
God, that's gotta be so uncomfortable to walk that way.
Order? I've never seen you before.
I'm new. Gloria. You're Nero, right? I've heard rumors.
Hasn't everyone?
Quite a few, in fact, and none too flattering.
So, what's the deal? Where are they coming from?
It's strange. No matter the number you kill, more will come.
Then I'll leave that chore to you. I've got some personal slaying to take care of.
I'll join with the others. We'll take care of them. May the Savior be with you on your journey.
Savior.
So one of the only things I like about Gloria is that Nero is so uncomfortable around her. Like, he can't even bring himself to look at her half the time, and when he does, his eyes wander. And when he does, he actually looks like he's like, oh, like he's embarrassed having done so. I love that. That's the only thing I like about Gloria, though. It does make sense. He's taken, and he is legitimately taken. He does actually like Kyrie. And it's just like, It's, hey, it's Pope Evil. I mean, Francis. I mean... You do not have the power to destroy this rusted compound. Okay. Yeah, no, I actually agree, Dakota. It is nice to have them just... They're together. That's it. There's no will they, won't they nonsense, which can be done well, but usually isn't. It's just, they're together. Even in 5, I had some people, or rather, I heard some people speculate when 5 was being announced that Nico replaced Kyrie. Nope, he's still with Kyrie, she's just off camera. Ironically, despite being a punk, Nero's actually... I don't know what to call that. Wholesome? Is that the word I want for that? Like, there's a term for that kind of person, usually male, specifically. No, not reliable. I mean, I'd be down for that, okay. I can't think of it. There is actually a term for that archetype. You just don't see it very often, which is why it's not coming to mind immediately. Oh yeah, I wanted to check that, didn't I? Hang on. Yep, let's go with that. I'll think about it. Not fully? That's a different thing, Tara. I mean, because that applies to Dante as well, and Dante is absolutely not the archetype I'm talking about. So the way I usually hear it referred to as the old-fashioned, but the thing I don't like about using that terminology is that implies that people were just kind of better people in the old days, which is extraordinarily untrue. Chivalrous my work. I mean, that's a literal descriptor at that point, not the trope descriptor, but... I don't know, whatever. That's Nero. Whatever that term is. Faithful's not a bad word. I actually like that word. Timing on that fourth hit is just weird. We'll get used to it. Screw it up there, too. There we go. Collect the 4 statues and open the way to the arena. Ironically, Dante has not been able to manage a stable relationship ever. At least that we know of. Although some people insist he's with Lady, and some people insist he's with Trish. I'll leave it up to you to see which one you prefer. I have no opinion on the matter. Pizza. Pizza. Aren't Lady and him the same age? Man, now I gotta look this up. Okay, if that's your point, Roman Cure, then never mind. But I'm actually curious here. Oh, it doesn't say here. Nah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Who just leaves the silverware out on the table, honestly? Anima Mercury. Okay. Gyroblade, huh? Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. That wall is made out of nopium. Nah, go ahead, Nitro. I mean, it's not like the anime is really canon, so... It's already been contradicted more than a few times. I do not agree with that, Zero, but that's okay. Because that's still not what I'm talking about. Then again, TV tropes and I tend to disagree on a lot of definitions. That's whatever. Like, look at their complete monster page sometime. Just raise my eyebrow at that one. Oh no, by all means, Nitro. God damn it, I don't know why I keep saying... I think I keep reading Nico. Like, at a glance, you know, when I just glance at chat. And that's why I keep seeing Nitro. Anyways, feel free to still share it, Nitro. It's just, it doesn't... It's a side thing, right? It's a bonus thing. Ironically, I would not call Kefka a complete monster, but no, that's not it. Like, their list of complete monsters is kind of a joke. Everything does, DJT. Anything you put financially into the show. Including all the blood you spill in my name. I mean, it better be Reunion, Pillars of Snow. It is the perfect title for it. Yeah, I remember that, Valvatrix. Not only do I not drink alcohol, in that exact instance, I didn't drink alcohol. But no, I totally had wine. I'd have to really think about the last time I have ingested alcohol. Like, that is a thing I would have to spend effort on. That looks like a fun ceiling. That's a good question, DJT. Did you send out the announcement about it? Because if you did, then I totally did. If you didn't, then I totally didn't. Let's see. Yep, there it is. That was on Saturday for Sly Cooper. I'm pretty sure I wrote that down. You'll have to give me a minute to check. Because that's why we... Yep, there it is right there. DJT1122. 2 Sly Cooper. Yep, I got it. Pretty sure I said thank you, because if I wrote it down, I tend to say thank you. I mean, if I have it in my logs, you hit the button. If you hadn't hit the button, then I wouldn't have it in my logs. So, that's all there is to that. So I'm checking something, just to be sure. Honestly, I don't think anybody designing the lore of this series cares enough to really canonize anything. That requires a level of organization that I don't think they give a damn about. That. God's sakes. Not even interesting fights. Because you can juggle them. Not that I mean, I suppose that's whatever. If this was very irritating fights, like some of the irritating enemies in 3, or 1, or 2, that would actually be worse. So, never mind my belly aching. I don't remember, but I know 5 got rid of the where do I go problem. Well, I say I know that. I think it did. I suppose we'll find out when we get there. For once, I'm ironically not actually in a hurry, schedule-wise. Because I have until Saturday, really, to finish DMC4 and DMC5. I have no idea. Pillars Snow. Reunion was the perfect choice. What's 2's subtitle again? Remind me? 3 something. Rebirth. So we've got remake, rebirth. So since they're not using Reunion, it has to be something extremely stupid. So let's see here. Something very square. Like... Remade. I like that. Or resize. Re-justification. Rectangle. It's pronounced rectangle, too. That's how they say it. And they insist it's pronounced that way because they're square. The last the rejiggering. Final Fantasy VII rejiggering. Yeah, if it's all the same, do you want me to keep calling them FF7R1, FF7R2, and FF7R3? Because I know how to name things. Well, that's not true. But I know how to label things. Replicant. And it'll have to be pronounced that way, because it's square. Rezipped. Words that start with R-E. What we got here? Retinoblastomos! There you go, that's what they're gonna call it. Revalorization. No, that's a real word, look it up. Revalorization. Oh no, Revify! There you go. Final Fantasy VII R2. Revify. I mean, this is a pretty easy room to design better. First of all, the penalty for failure is nonsense. Second of all, make it not terrible. I mean, and okay, real talk, I would probably actually eject this room rather than actually try to improve it. But let's say we actually are stuck improving it. Because this is the first game made for the PS3, and Capcom is being stupid again. Again. One of my favorite jokes on Matt McMuscle's page, it's YouTube, excuse me, is he's covering a Capcom game, and he says, it's been, 6 days since we've last covered a Capcom game. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But you want to call FF7R2 RE5? Zach Taft? That's just crazy talk right there. But yeah, no re-trigger the Red Room. And maybe actually make the margin of error better. That's a good question, Baron. I know how Sega survived. Sega almost went under. Not a lot of people know this. And survived because someone literally donated to them several $1 million on their deathbed. And then they died. Now, I'm not saying that's suspicious or anything. I'm just saying Sega murdered a man and stole millions of dollars from him. I'm joking. That's not true. But the murder part is not true. The donation thing is actually a real thing. You can look it up. So I have a weird feeling. I'm going to test a theory this particular time around. Wrong way. The deathbed and died part is true, yes. I don't remember the name of the gentleman. I'd have to look it up. You know me and names. But he really was dying. And as one of his final acts, he donated like a bagrillion amount of money to Sega to keep them afloat. And it is the reason Sega didn't shut down. They were on the brink. Wow. I hate being right sometimes. So rather than try to time anything, I just had to mash. And that fixed it. Yeah, when I say millions, by the way, I mean millions from a corporate level. Like, it is insane how much money he dumped on Sega. Because, yeah, for those of you not aware, the Saturn didn't do well and the Dreamcast did worse. And, Sega floundered really badly for a nice big chunk of time there. Now, you might think, who cares about Sega? Well, I mean, obviously I could point to the Sonic series, but please remember that most of this predates the Yakuza franchise. So we wouldn't have gotten the Yakuza games if not for that. I'm not sure of the exact timing, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure this was the Shenmue era, not the Yakuza era. I actually really liked Virtua Fighter back in the day. I can never beat it. I can never beat, I think the last boss, I want to say? Alright, I'd have to look at the list. But I enjoyed it. Listen, if Sega's belly is made of butter, we have bigger problems than I thought. Yes, Cashel. It's very easy. You take out the emergency knife. Ironically, I will say that one of the biggest and smartest decisions Sega made was getting out of the console market. That is to say, getting out of the hardware market. Let me be more clear about that. In fact, they were thinking about doing that anyways after the Saturn, but they wanted to push for the Dreamcast, and then the Dreamcast was the Dreamcast. And then they were like, well, we're dead. Then they got the donation, and then it's like, okay, let's make games. And that's worked out for them ever since, so credit where credit is due. They've made some bonkers decisions, and they've screwed up several times, but at least that has been working for them. What do I think of the Dreamcast? You got an hour? The problem is the Dreamcast is one of those fascinating little machines that was never going to work. It was never going to be feasible, and it was never actually going to be a long-term viable product. Ironically, for more or less the exact same reason the Saturn wasn't. Yeah, the Dreamcast was too far ahead of its time. I've actually talked about this concept before. When you are so ahead of the curve that you suck, because you can't act, the tech does not exist to do what you're trying to do. I actually have a perfect example of this nowadays. Toy Story 1. Toy Story 1 was ludicrously ahead of the curve, to the point where the movie isn't actually all that great. Oh, it was impressive for the time, and they were lucky because of some behind-the-scenes stuff I've already talked about. But Toy Story 1 was kind of bad, especially visually. And there's other examples of that, too, but you get the idea. So there's some ice attacking me. Just add that to the list of things that want to kill me in this world. Could you not do that, please? Appreciate it. These things have too much health. You know, that's a good point, Tara. Even Kyrie. She's secretly the villain above everything else. I'm not going to go into it, Blade. It really would be a rather lengthy discussion. And frankly, I would have to go refresh myself and take some notes to make sure I'm giving you accurate information. So, I cannot discuss the Dreamcast off the top of my head. Nope. Can't do it. Well, that does cancel my momentum. There we go. No, the Saturn was ironically behind the time. So the biggest flaw, I can tell you this off the top of my head, the biggest flaw with the Saturn is it was not designed to generate three-dimensional imagery. Now, you're probably thinking, who cares? But I want you to really think about it for a second. The Saturn was a sprite box. It was really, really good at doing pixel art, sprite work, and 2D rendering. In fact, it was in many ways an advanced SNES. But it came out when the Saturn came out, alongside the N64 and the PlayStation 1. Huh. Weird. I guess we'll leave that alone for now. I wouldn't even know the idea to begin with, Dakota. I'm not that familiar with this game. As a reminder, this is only the second time I played this game. I'm probably about to die right here, because it's two of these guys and I have very little health. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Yeah, we're dead. Okay. What the hell is this? Ah. Yeah, checkpointing, not terrible. Go figure. Need to also jot down the guidance thing while I'm thinking about it. Oh god, Paranoid Android. Don't even. I mean, the Dreamcast was more or less a direct reaction to the Saturn, so that tracks. You also have to remember Sega's approach at the time was very different from Nintendo's, or honestly everyone else's. Sega liked to put out quantity in terms of consoles. I mean, think about how many consoles came out before the Saturn. Whereas, by contrast, the Nintendo, if you count the Game Boy, put out 3. I mean, if you consider it meme-worthy, go for it, Dr. Winter. I don't think we've really referenced it since then. Other than to mention terrible, terrible, terrible outros. They really like that laugh sound effect, don't they? Did they use that in 5, too? Because that's 4 games now that have used that same sound effect. That's the first time we've hit S. Nope, it's editable, Spartan. By which I mean, it should be editable. Be a better way to phrase that. Nobody likes armor anyways. Overcoats are where it's at. Yeah, I've been thinking about this game as we go, and it's probably going to be very massively positive right up until about the backtracking point. And then we'll have hit the backtracking point.
Didn't figure this guy for a bookworm. That's one way to get yourself shot. So, you after this guy too, or just here to catch some demons? Silent type, huh? Well, that's annoying. Much for friendly banter. You wanna fight? Come on.
So, notice this enemy, which these enemies suck, by the way. As most shield enemies tend to. Notice that Nero goes out of his way to not attack initially. I don't know if that means he's familiar with these things, or he was assuming, or at least trying to assume that might have been an ally. But the real thing I want you to point to the real thing I want to point you to, sorry, I don't know why I'm asking you to do the pointing for me, is that they look vaguely insect-like. Now, I actually mentioned this before, but this is very much on purpose from an in-universe perspective. The idea here is that these are all styled after Sparta, and Sparta, of course, was someone who was insect-like in his demonic form. One of these at once isn't actually terrible. Two of these at once kind of sucked. And yes, you can break their shields.
Empty. A demon had possessed the Order's armor. That's not a good sign. Shall we dance? Huh?
You suck. I suppose we could check the bestiary now. We checked it earlier and had nothing in it. So. Yes, D for absolutely terrible. Alright, grab this now. And... yeah. D is a passing grade. Do you have to do the transition each time? Sired by the Emperor of Demonkind. Who's the Emperor of Demonkind? Yeah, so in my studies and research, I found out that Mundus is not dead as of one, which is really irritating, actually. But whatever. Gotta keep those people alive. You can't kill enemies. You have to keep them around forever. Because boring. Hey, it's the man in red. Sure, Valvaters. I got nothing. So, I'm going to call that a wash, as I often do. Try out the other costume for a bit. Why not? Yeah, if Mundus is alive, there's a whole lot of question marks, but it's also even more frustrating Because what was the point of 1 at that point? Yeah, I know. We seal the way that... But you... I don't want to get into it. It sucks. Negative and everything. Moving on. Oh! Meanwhile, 5 milliseconds later. Oh, okay, fine. So you like doing physics-based puzzles, right? In a game not designed for it? There's basically 2 ways to do this. Be good, or be slow. You'll notice if we're paying attention that we're already in our first batch of backtracking. Don't worry, we're not at the backtracking point yet, but... I mean, Takoida said it perfectly the other day. Mundus was, what is it, high impact but low detail or something like that? Shit, of course, now I can't remember how you said it. Yeah, I should show that off at least a little bit. So you can do that. But the point is, I was talking at the time about how it's a fairly common thing in fiction for the first entry into the work, which was not intended to start a franchise, to be the biggest stakes, right? Like defeating the king of all of evil, which is what we do in DMC 1. Even though Mundus is just kind of not really developed or fleshed out at all and effectively has no real impact on the franchise going forwards. How was it? Higher stakes, low impact. I think that's how you said it. Give me that burn. Yeah, no, A New Hope was actually the specific example I used. We defeated the Death Star, and it's in hindsight, it's also the first major victory the Rebellion ever had, with the advantage of fleshing out the work. But at the time, it was just kind of designed to be this one thing, so it is. Whereas something like, ironically, Empire is more nuanced and more designed, frankly. I have no hope of controlling this seal. Aw. Okay. Where the hell am I going? That way, I think? Okay. Well, first of all, I'd actually write some lore to the setting and the background of the setting, so that there was some consistency as a framework, as a bricklayer. Then, I would have Mundus die at the end of DMC1, After that, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Yeah, I'd also explain what the hell happened to Sparta, either for myself or on camera. Not sure which. Oh god, bad memories. Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. I would also probably flesh out the characters who are not Dante a bit more. But I already talked about that. I think it was Casual asked me what I'd do with the DMC2 raider. In fact, I think I even put that in the highlight reel. Because I developed more about Trish and Lady. I'd probably keep Nico. She's cool. That's literally the reasoning. Yeah, you're cool. But... yeah, there's a reason every single one of these games starts with, "Have you heard of the Legend of Sparta?" I mean, it helps that Nico's a legitimate geek. In her case, her geekdom just happens to be killing demons, you know? I'm okay with that. I get that. Yeah, Nico's dad, we'll talk about later. Ironically, I would probably change him the least. Agnes is just kind of perfect, but... ironically, despite being one of the most memorable things about this game, I always forget how long it takes for us to get to that portion of the game, because that's way in. You notice that, in contrast to DMC3, which made it a point of actually having some kind of story cutscene pretty regularly, we've sort of stopped doing that. We're just kind of meandering right now, story-wise. In fact, if you're paying attention, the narrative right now is we're chasing whoever that red-cloaked man was. Oh, this game was turbo. Just... rushed might not be the best word, but this game was not properly supported in development. At all. And yeah, we're in a castle, and there's some occult archive, and I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, that's what I thought. And it's in this big frozen area, which just happens to be on the same island. I guess that's not saying much. I'm pretty sure there are real-life islands which are, you know, temperate, but also have snow peaks or whatever. Oh, I know, right? I'm so sick of ruins! Wait until we get to 5. One of my bigger complaints about 5 is the ruins. It's just ruins everywhere. Yeah, it's actually a really big gap between 4 and DMC. I forget the exact number of years. You can Google it. I don't remember how to get into there. I thought I just broke the thing down, but it looks like I have to do that. Oh, right. I know what to do. Oh, for God's sake. You know, one of these days, I'm going to be 100% on the ball while streaming. And you're not even going to recognize me. That's interesting, Twilight Prawn. I hate to inform past you. Those people were wrong. Oh god, going from DMC to this would certainly be a trip. Here's a random question for everybody present. Which game was your first DMC game? Mine was 1, obviously. I've talked about that. So you know what I don't like about this section? Hang on. The fire actually blows it back. Now, I know that now, so I can deal with that now, but it was irritating back in the day. Is this the one I think it is? Nope. Mid-air buster 5 times without touching the ground. Oh, this is even worse. Yeah, we're not even going to try that. Nope, 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 nope. Oh yeah, a really minor change they made to this game. I forgot to mention this. I'll show off in just a second, as soon as I'm done killing these mooks. Yeah, ironically, I was having trouble even telling the difference too, but this isn't a great place to show off his outfit, I suppose. I do love the code, though. Yeah, I absolutely do not have a feel for his playstyle at all. Granted, I've only been playing for like 3 hours, but still. I forgot to show it off. You know how the hand would reach out and do damage to you for the barriers? They got rid of that. They decided to finally axe that. Which, honestly, good call. Ignoring the fact that it serves no real purpose, the fact was it was easier than you'd think to, during the course of a rather chaotic fight, just kind of roam in the direction of a door and then get hit by it. Well, that's terrifying, Blade Jamal. I suppose that's my thoughts in a nutshell. Also that. Keeping the music going just for you, Hazardous. That's not true, but it's still cool. I mean, if you're asking if I'm pro-nuclear power, the answer is absolutely yes. But, there's other layers to that. Like, for example, this boss fight I'm about to fight. See, this right here terrifies me. Oh yeah, that's not a trap.
This blizzard must be these demons.
Notice he's not even tempted. Probably because he has a frickin' brain. So this fight's interesting. If you pay attention, you can see the strings, by the way. I don't know if you can see him on stream, but I can see him. I'm trying to get you a bit of a shot there. See? You can see it right there. He does have a girlfriend, and as we pointed out earlier, he is a genuinely good guy, and actually is loyal and faithful to her. Consistently. But yeah, that's the actual demon.
So this is what you really look like. Cut me some slack. I'm just not big on toads. I'll finish this quickly. It's gonna scar me for life.
I remember disliking this fight, so we'll see how we do. Okay. Not want to target that. Alright. And we're dead. To the year, I do believe, Baron. I think we'll go for that. I think we'll save. But I can't afford this. Did that demon just say, "What's up"? Ow. I mean, ow for him, not me, but still, ow. Nakasu.
That's exactly what I think. Come on, it's just nasty. Wait, did he say brothers?
Yeah, so, that's a Hellgate, just like the earlier one. And there's a couple more of those things.
Oh, that's fair. Now I've got to fight a whole herd of these things. Sorry, pal. We're closed.
Okay. Gross, but cool, I guess. That does sound like an interesting way to deal with that. Well, it looks like I can't close. I was just going to show off the Hellgate really quick. Also, probably the source of all the issues going on in the town, or the tower here, excuse me. Castle? Adb. I was to say, back from Quest for Glory 4, it's the Rusalka, or however you pronounce it. What was it? Oh, right. I was saving for double jump, which I cannot get yet. I do prefer this music to the reverse whispering from 3. Hello. So, I don't know. By memory, these are a slightly less irritating version of the red bats from the 3rd game. Because instead of having to shoot them to gargoyle them, you just have to rip their cape off with the grab. We'll see if my opinion holds through on that this time around. I love the way that's written. After obtaining the Rusalka corpse, entering certain areas will cause the Devilbringer to be tinged with glowing light. When this light is visible, succumb to its call and search for nearby items or secret missions. Admittedly, one thing 4 has over 3 is that so far no enemies irritate me. Look, it's really obvious too. Like, hey, there's a thing here. There's a thing here. There's a thing. It's not over here. But it's over here. If I stand still, nothing happens. I wish it was a little more indicative than that, but whatever. You know, honestly, I wouldn't either, Vomitrix. They actually gave us a frickin' indicator this time around. So, random question. So, quiz. Pop quiz. What are we doing narratively right now? Like, where's the plot going? Alright, apparently I'm not supposed to go back to town. Alright, cool. We'll go this way, I guess. I have no idea where to go next. I'll just admit that freely, but that's not exactly uncommon for me in these games. But yeah, we're still chasing Dante. That point hasn't changed since literally the first mission. Okay, back to where I started the stage. Done! Except that's actually going to take a minute. You know what, actually, let's,
What'd you say?
Dante is the main character of DMC. I didn't come up with that term, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because it's an amusing term that pretty much accurately describes a character. So, would have been nice if I could put that under my belt. Excuse me. Also, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I did last time I played this, was went all the way back to the town and was like, where the hell do I go next? And then, you know, checked the internet, because GameFAQs was a well-established thing at this point. Oh, sure. So, we're back here. Gonna be real, that did not look like a fence I could jump over, since this game likes to use invisible walls for stuff like that. How this whole franchise does. But whatever. So you like the torture room, right? Slow and irritating, Baron. I'm so sorry, Baron. Yeah, this is quite a ways underground if you're paying attention. In the frozen north mountain of... Look, don't question it. Might as well get these as I'm going. mean, they probably taste like blood, says Slayer. You ever tasted blood? 'Cause I have. I taste it every day. Yeah, like a blood lollipop, you know? Which is a real thing in Vampire the Masquerade, along with blood gummy bears. I'm not making that up, you can look it up. Guess that used to be a thing, that's admittedly from the 90s, so... maybe that's not a thing anymore? I don't know. Let's say, look, it's the same fight. It always is. I mean, it's a pretty easy way to grind, Hasdus, so I don't blame you. A lot of people don't understand grinding, true grinding in any game, really, is about more than just getting the most experience per encounter. It's about setting up something that's nice and mindless and repetitive, right? You don't want to have to do this, oh my god, insano, any movement you're going to die instantly fight in order to get a bajillion experience. You want to be able to mash A. Or better yet, put, you know, rubber band the controller down and walk away from the controller. So yeah, I can see a fight like that being a really good grind spot. Yep. I actually remembered it was there. Yay, memory. Remember him? He's dead. He's dead because of you. And now you've defaced his picture. Excommunicated. Yeah, I have no idea how we're supposed to logic that out in-universe. I mean, Nero never liked the cult of the evil. I mean, totally good. Definitely the good guy cult. You can tell because they're called a cult. Which we always use to describe good things. Oh, really? I don't think I knew that, Dakota. You know, he's doing this for Crito and for Kyrie. Let's be real about this. There we go. It's a good point, Blade Taval. The cult of the Care Bears. We're gonna look at you. And when we look at you, you're gonna be a better person. We're gonna make you a better person. So, speaking of the cult of evil... So yeah, this is actually demonic transformation. Although we're not really showing it off fully yet.
Currently in pursuit of Dante. It is only a matter of time before his location is revealed.
He came to us. It was fortunate I was able to participate in the Ascension ceremony.
Ah. His Holiness. Huh. You look magnificent. You sent that cocky kid Nero to find Dante?
You question my command.
Yes! What shall befall me? Should he stumble upon my research facility?
Our priority is to capture Dante.
Why, you...
Crater,
Yes, Your Holiness.
gather everyone. I must ease their minds on this matter.
Of course.
Agnes is unironically going to be a positive or two. By the way, the stutter was actually the voice actor's idea. It's actually a little bit of storytelling, too. Because he only stutters when he's, like, irritated, upset, you know? When something doesn't go his way. And yeah, did you notice he had a list and he just did a little shh with the line there on that? I love Agnes. Agnes is great. Flustered. I like that. That's a good word for Agnes. You question my comments? Yes! Oh, right. We were getting double jump. I wouldn't be surprised if he was at least unintentionally inspired by Hojo, who is, whew, he's a piece of work. But we've talked about that many times in other works. Yeah, Kratos is your typical, what do they call that? The noble demon, I think, is the trope for that. Good guy, bad side. Very common trope. Especially in Japanese fiction. Usually, I'm loyal for no good reason, kind of a thing. I try, Lunarith, yes. I don't always succeed because time, but yeah. After all, that way I can share little tidbits with you guys. Okay. The Adalbert style. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's the General Leo. Although, if you're paying attention, even Rubicant, all the way back in FF4, had the same general approach. And yeah, Fire Emblem loves that trope. God. One of my favorite jokes about Fire Emblem is, so there's 4 generals you have to fight. The forgettable one, the boring one, the girl, and then the one who clearly should be a good guy but refuses to join you. Let's see here. Well, I mean, if you're paying attention, what are the generals in FF6? We've got the girl, that's Celeste. We've got the monster, that's Kefka. We've got the one who should be on your side, that's Leo. All we're missing is the boring one. Because there is no 4th general in FF6. Now I'm thinking about it, Secret of Mana kind of did that too, because there's, oh, I used to know their names. There's Fanha and Sheiks. and Geshtar, I want to say. Yeah, nothing's... You know what? Maybe Bannon's the boring one. Oh my god, I love that. Rewrite note, make Bannon the boring general. Sorry, I'm thinking about something. I think we are going to do that. Okay, sorry. I mean, Chrono Trigger had the Mystic Trio, but they didn't quite follow the thing. Square actually likes the trio rather than the quartet more often. Have you noticed that? We got the 3 generals in FF6, we got the 3 bodyguards in Secret of Mana, we've got the 3 Mystic Trio in Chrono Trigger. The Turks are almost universally a trio, even though there's actually like 5 of them in FF7, etc., etc. Square likes its trios. Hell, this continues up until FF10 too, if you're paying attention. With, what's her face, what's his face, and what's his face. Well, so the joke there, Kay, which I'm guessing you're missing, is that I had a theory, which I actually still have for the long time, that Bannon was working for Geshtal, that he was an Imperial loyalist, and that was why he was in charge of the Returners, and that explains certain aspects of some of the story and character. Yeah, FF8 had a trio too. You're absolutely right, Blade Travol. There's a lot of trio thing going on in Square, like I said. Thank you, the Maestro, very, very much for that sub. I do always appreciate those subs. Much appreciate. And if you want to put that towards a specific game for a future stream, please let me know. Thank you. Hang on, you sent me a question about Resident Evil 5, which I think it's the only type of question you asked me, Zactav. Let's see here. How many solutions would there be to being mind-controlled? I don't know how mind control works in that setting, so I can't answer that. But you asked another question, which was, the whole mind control thing, do you agree that the people who are brainwashed are victims and not responsible for their actions? Yes. God, yes. It actually irritates me a little bit how often real life, never mind fiction, doesn't actually get that properly. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Thank you again for that sub. What? God, I am just getting email bombarded today. What is going on with this crap? It's all just junk, too. Don't care. Go away. God. Okay. Okay. Back into it. Or I should probably actually pause for lunch. Does a normal human stand a chance against a devil or demon in this setting? They can, yes. But you have to remember that demons have variable power levels. There is, after all, a difference between a random marionette or a super strong or a boss doom or whatever. But yeah, it is possible, absolutely. We do have things like guns, after all. Having said all that, yeah, it would be interesting to see a full-on war between the two, since they do have some durability advantages over us. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and chop off. A little early, technically. Sorry about the tech issues. When we come back from the lunch break, we'll actually play this game, I swear.